This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are, the last day of July, July 31st in the year of our Lord 2026. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Okay, now I do want to mention that tonight on my daily news wrap-up, which will start after this podcast, about 15-20 minutes afterwards, I will be changing that to Rumble Premium after midnight on August the 1st because I have to get 5 hours worth of Rumble Premium videos in for the month of August. So I'll just go ahead and get that out of the way and get that started tonight. So just give you a heads up on that. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and click over here on Rumble. Come over to my Rumble channel. And this is the video we're watching tonight, episode 1995. Let's go ahead and click into that. And let me heads up on that. Hi, Debbie BS. Glad you joined us already. I'll get back with you here momentarily. Let me come down here, slide down, and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. We have information from Vince Coglianese on the Bongino report. Also ACLJ Sekulow, Matt Morse TV, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do need to give some shout outs to Ed Kudo, just started following my channel. Acclamations of Life just started following my channel. A True Patriot 22 just started following my channel. Show Sean 888 just started following my channel. Patriotic Lady 39 just started following my channel. Michael Cordio 1974 just started following my channel. Aaron Out Magrowan just started following my channel. GG Wrestler just started following my channel. And G Hawk just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in and I hope you enjoy the content. Alrighty, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1994. She B63. Ocho Lunas, Cotton Ball 31, commented on my daily news wrap-up. Glow and Viper Senior commented on my episode 1994. Acclamations of Life commented on my extra 773C. Debbie BS commented on my extra 777A. Stefang 101, Debbie BS commented on my extra 777B, and Debbie BS commented on my extra 777C. All right, so thank you very much, folks, for reposting my video and your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up. And Debbie BS has already commented, thumbs up number 4. Good deal, and thank you. So there we go. All right. You are voting too often. Okay, well, I'm voting as often as I have to, so don't worry about it. Okay, Vince, on the Bongino report, reverse course or risk demise, episode 343. Okay, now, Vince is going to be on vacation next week, but he will have some people filling in for him, so if he has some good content on his show, we'll get that shared with you. Let's go ahead and get started on this, though.
Yeah, remember when Spain had borders? Turns out they are evaporating. We're watching as Moroccans are pouring in by the tens of thousands over the course of just 24 hours into a Spanish enclave known as Ceuta, right there at the northern tip of Morocco before you cross the Strait of Gibraltar into mainland Spain. There you have a Spanish territory that's being invaded by tens of thousands of Moroccans in a world where there's not that many Spanish people there to begin with. Well, relatively speaking, this is a Spanish city of 83,567 people, to be specific. This is according to Spanish census records from 2025. So about 84,000 people. You know how many Moroccans just poured in there in an invasion? 49,000 in 24 4 hours. That's according to the BBC official estimates right now. 49,000 invaders pouring into a region of 84,000 Spaniards. Now, I don't know how into math you are, but just to be clear, that's more than half the population. Suddenly, Ceuta ain't Ceuta anymore. It's Morocco. What the hell just happened? I'm going to show you some of these crazy images. And note, of course, that these are military-aged males. Are there women and children? Yeah, like occasionally. But have you seen the footage of this? It's all dudes. It's all young men absolutely storming a country that they don't belong to. Cut 1, watch. Take a look at some of this imagery. Look, people coming by water. They're walking kind of they're swimming around a border barrier, pouring in, storming gates. Absolutely gloating about the fact that they've invaded another country. No, it's not by force. They're not, I mean, other than like they're forcing their way through gates and stuff, but they're not carrying arms, not shooting anybody.
Did Biden go on vacation to Spain, or what the hell is that all about? Why all of a sudden? It's pretty amazing.
Just a free-for-all invasion. And Spain was just rolling over yesterday and allowing it to happen? Yeah, that's what happened yesterday over the course of 24 hours. So for those of us back in the United States of America watching all of this, of course, the images are horrific. And you're thinking, this is insane. I can't believe this is even happening. I've got more. Here's Moroccan men leaving all sorts of garbage in their wake. These are not people coming to look at this. Trash everywhere. Come pouring in. Some of them carried bicycles in. They brought their own modes of transportation. Look at this. Just coming in, wearing soccer jerseys, shorts, barefoot, storming an entire country, no consequences whatsoever. And as they come, it's not just trash, it's also physical street fights. So we've got, look at this, cut 3. Here's a fight straight in the middle of the streets of Ceuta. There's fights going on. And now that the Moroccans are the majority population, the invaders, I expect we'll see a lot more of this. Watch, here, cut 3. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Fighting in the streets, people just sprinting through the streets, kicking each other. We've seen images of people trying to break into apartments, Moroccans trying to break into Spanish apartments, climbing up the sides of these walls. It's like a zombie invasion. What the hell's going on? Yeah. So one more for you, one more of the invasion, and then we'll get to some of the predicates here. Why did this happen? Here is some of the imagery of the overrun beach line as people walk just straight down the beach, kind of wrap around the span of the overrun beach line as people walk just straight down the beach, kind of wrap around the barrier from Morocco directly into Spanish territory. Take a look. Here's cut 4. Look at that. Just look at the mass of humanity. And for those of you on the audio podcast right now, the images really are unbelievable. I'm just watching as tens of thousands of Moroccan men are walking around this measly barrier into Spanish territory. Nobody there to stop them, no efforts whatsoever to barricade them. Eventually, the Spanish military has been mobilized, but that's a pretty late process, isn't it? As you've already got tens of thousands of invaders. And are they going to be sent back? Well, this is interesting. This is a very interesting quandary because Spain has done something completely suicidal. In fact, there was a recent Supreme Court's decision in Spain that ruled that migrants who come by sea can't be easily and rapidly deported, unlike migrants who come by land. Now, if that's insane to you, that's because it's insane. It's totally insane. So you can rapidly deport somebody who stays on terra firma, But you can't rapidly deport someone who dips their toes in the water, which you just witnessed, to the tune of tens of thousands of people dipping their toes in the water and then walking into Ceuta. That's what Spain has going on. Here's the New York Times overnight as they describe some of this. Spain mobilizes the military as thousands of migrants cross into Ceuta. The arrivals in Ceuta, a 6-mile-long peninsula on Morocco's northern coast that Spain has governed for centuries, have fueled political tensions. Well, no kidding. What do you mean they fueled political tensions? This is societal chaos. I love how the understatement here. This could create some political tension. This could create the collapse of an entire country, you morons. Thousands of migrants crossing into Spain's North African territory. Now, on the Supreme Court decision, this is what the New York Times says. Spain's Interior Ministry said human smuggling networks were seizing on a recent Supreme Court decision to encourage migrants to try to enter Europe through Spain. That decision barred the summary return of migrants intercepted at sea while attempting to reach the Spanish territories. The summary return would be, we grab you by the oversized basketball shorts and we throw you out of the country the second you walk in. That would be summary deportation. That's not what's happening here. Instead, they're rolling over for invasion. They're rolling over in Spain for invasion right now. Well, the Supreme Court told us to roll over. So they're rolling over. And you've got Moroccan invaders who are taking advantage of this weakness. And, you know, the prime minister of Spain is a guy called Pedro Sanchez. And this guy, Pedro Sanchez, is a moron. I listened to him earlier this year talking about how Spain is very welcoming and generous. This is Spain's weak-ass prime minister creating the conditions for the country to be invaded. Cut 5.
Say, want to go against the court, but I would like to ask you, when did recognizing rights become something radical? When did empathy become something exceptional? Spain is above all a welcoming country, and this is the path we choose: dignity, community, and justice.
Dignity, community, justice. Well, not for Spaniards. No dignity for you. No dignity for the people who live here. Dignity for invaders. Now, there's a lot of warning signs built into this. The reason this is an American story, as we talk about it, is because of what it warns us about happening to our own country. And if yes, of course, we've had a lot of this happen to our own countries. I'll get to that in a moment. But first, this Pedro Sanchez, do you know what he is? In addition to being weak, in addition to betraying his own people, do you know what he is? He's a socialist. He is a member of the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party. He's one of these commies who don't believe in borders, who believe that borders are somehow an evil. He's an agent of chaos, running his country into the dirt. Any warning signs here for the rest of us? Should we empower socialists in the United States to take over our affairs? They're already promising to do precisely what Pedro Sanchez is doing to his own country. They're promising to kick our borders wide open again. They want people to pour in. They don't think Americans deserve a nice country, that there's anything laudable about the 250 years of American history that our ancestors built. They're agents of chaos, like Pedro Sanchez. They're socialists, just like that guy. How about no? How about we reject that outright? Meanwhile, the socialists, of course, are taking over the Democrat Party. I started this week. If you go back, I believe it was to the Monday podcast, we talked about the rise of the Democrat Socialists of America and the long game that they've been undertaking to take over the Democrat Party here in the United States of America. Unfortunately, it's working. They've been doing that with a lot of success. And now it's created a full-blown civil war in the Democrat Party. The best case scenario is that leads to that party's collapse and obscurity and just disappearance into the political wilderness. But that's hoping for a lot. The concern should definitely be that the socialists are on the rise. And these are the kinds of plans they have in store for us. This kind of us. In fact, we've seen this chaos at the hands of these Democrats here in the United States. You know, even for suppressing our being kept in the Oval Office and fed a steady dose of soft foods. This is what it looked like. Remember this? Western Lensman pulling these clips. Here he is, Alejandro Mayorkas, the awful, evil former DHS secretary, and our U.S. border. Take a look at what it used to look like. Cut 6.
The challenges at the border are very complex and dynamic.
All right. Well, I'm going to take from that if you can't answer yes, then the answer is no.
That is not true.
All right. So then you're saying all 9 are secure.
It is my testimony that the border is secure, and we are working every day, day and night, to increase its security.
Yeah, right. So the reality is, as much as we're horrified by the images of what we're seeing in a small Spanish territory, we had this happen on our border. Our border has been wide open for years. Tens of millions of military-aged males from every country on planet Earth were pouring into the United States at the invitation of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, and all of these agents of chaos who've been running the Democrat Party and leading us down a path of destruction. Now, President Trump keeps getting elected in an attempt to reverse all of that misfortune. And it's had some positive effect. President Trump has locked down the border. He's deported a lot of people. That mission continues to be underway. Restoring order is essential. But it only lasts insofar as we have leaders who are actually going to protect us. Right now, we do. And those leaders have been warning Europe about the disaster that awaits them if they continue down the road that they are clearly on. Among them, people like J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, who has issued warnings to Europe over and over and over again about how they are headed down the path of destruction of their once great cultures and societies. Watch, here's J.D. Vance back in, I believe this was at CPAC 2025, Cut 7, talking about Europe's collapse. Watch.
I really believe that we have a great deal in common with Europe. And I'm not, yes, the Europeans annoy me sometimes.
The threat in Europe is that you've had the leaders of the West decide that they should send millions and millions of unvetted foreign migrants into their countries. That is the biggest threat to Europe. And frankly, it remains, by the way, the biggest threat to the United States because, yes, we've got 4 years of President Trump's leadership, but I guarantee you, if the Democrats ever get power again, they're going to try to do it again.
He's right. He's totally right. We've got Trump right now. Remember, it didn't take any new laws. All it took was a new president. But the same is true of border disaster for the United States. Restarting the invasion of the planet into the United States of America wouldn't take a new law. It would just take a new president, which is why we have to work so hard to prevent the left from seizing power again in the United States. Of course, that goes back to the Save America Act, which, of course, is a preeminent concern. We have to get that passed. We'll get to that coming up. But J.D. Vance's warning is correct. We have another warning from J.D. Vance. He's talked about this a lot. Take a look.
I really believe that we have a great deal in common with Europe. And I'm not, yes, the Europeans annoy me sometimes. And yes, I disagree with them on certain issues. But we have to remember that is the cradle of Western civilization. The entire idea of Christian civilization that led to the founding of the United States of America, that was formed in Europe. The cultural bonds, the religious bonds, these things are going to last beyond political disagreements. But I think that Europe, and frankly, I would have said this about America a year ago, but Europe is at risk, I think, of engaging in civilizational suicide. They are unable to or unwilling, too many countries, to control their borders. You see them starting to push back against that, and good, that's a good thing. You see them starting to limit the free speech of their own citizens, even as those citizens are protesting against things like the border invasion that got Donald Trump and a number of European leaders elected. So look, I want Europe to thrive. I want them to be an important ally. Part of that is going to be Europe respecting its own people, respecting its own sovereignty, and America can't do that job for them. If you have a country like Germany, where you have another few million immigrants come in from countries that are totally culturally incompatible with Germany, then it doesn't matter what I think about Europe. Germany will have killed itself, and I hope they don't do that because I love Germany and I want Germany to thrive.
The deepest elements.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here, but they're absolutely right. The Democrats are profiting off of the fraud and corruption that's involved with these illegal aliens coming over. I mean, they give them a free phone to start off with. They say that's to track them with, but they're still, that they the money that's involved just in giving them the phone. I mean, you could deport them for the price of that. Okay, and then EBT cards, housing. No wonder housing costs are freaking out the wazoo. I mean, when you have X amount of houses and Y amount of people, these landlords are going to take advantage of that and charge as much as they can. But the government doesn't give a shit because it's not their money. They'll go ahead and pay it. You know, I don't understand like the political leadership in Springfield, Ohio, why they're so upset that these people are being deported. I mean, they don't give a shit about their own people. The housing costs for them and grocery costs as well. I mean, you got this amount of food and you got this amount of people wanting to eat this amount of food. The cost of food's going to go up. Duh. Okay, let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from the Bongino report. This is Vince. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And Shebe63 and Susie Pole 16, 2016's joined us, along with Debbie BS. But let's jump down here and see what ACLJ Sekulow has to say on the latest update, Mamdani tax bill scheme. Okay, here's another Democrat for you. And I hate so much talking about Mamdani. He's getting publicity. It may not be good publicity, but his name is getting out there and people will recognize that name, even though it is a piece of crap. Let's see what they have to say.
New York City as the pied-à-terre tax, as you may remember, not only that, they have created a list, a database where you log in and you can search. And from what it seems like is if you're a New York resident, you can go on and search this database. And essentially, as he once doxed these other, this person, again, I don't want to call anyone out by name, this person in his videos, now it's giving free reign to New Yorkers to do the same to any of these people who have secondary residences in New York.
But here's the problem. It's not just even these people like the CEO in his video. There are people like an 81-year-old lady who has lived on the Upper West Side in her townhome for 30 years. She's not even subject to this tax, or shouldn't be. She lives there full time. And CBS News New York reports that she got the notice and she will be in that database, and she has until August 21st to prove she's exempt, or she has to pay $56,000. He puts this out as a tweet this week when it went live, when they sent these letters out. And it says, if you have a second home in New York City worth more than $5 million, check your mailbox when you're back in the 5 boroughs because you've got mail. He's vilifying people, saying, today we sent notifications to property owners letting them know there are new pied-à-terre taxes coming soon. The best city in the world deserves the best parks, libraries, schools in the world, etc.
By the way, worth more than $5 million.
Right.
A lot of these people did not spend $5 million on the property.
Such as this one individual that CBS New York reported. She's 81 years old, has lived in this same townhome full-time for 30 years. And you think about property values in your own area, think about how much it's grown through New York, already an expensive place, over the course of 30 years. She got a bill in the mail that says you have until August 21st to prove that you are exempt from this. It's guilty until proven innocent. You are taxed until proven exempt. That she's going to owe $56,000 if she doesn't prove this. Now, this is coming from the same group of people that don't want you to have to show an ID to vote, that thinks that borders are ridiculous and that, that you can be here undocumented, that try to make it easier when you want to violate the law. But here, someone who just owns their own property is now subject to this tax until they can prove that they're not, because this tax is only supposed to go on your second home. but people are getting scooped up. They sent 17,000 letters. And you'd think, especially with how forward-facing his disdain for people that own these properties, making them into villains, they'd be super careful not to incorporate, not to scoop up people that this wouldn't apply to. But listen to how he lays this out about how this first year there's going to be some bumps.
When it comes to these letters being sent out, it is anyone that the city believes may be subject to this surcharge. And now the work will begin to ensure that if someone has registered their property in a trust or they registered their property in an LLC and they are in fact the primary residence holder there, that that's something that is communicated with the city. We've put the investment in, we're putting in the time now.
No, they sent out a bunch of letters trying to get as much revenue as possible. There's that saying that they say in tech that people warn about, where people move fast and break things. I think the Mamdani mantra for his administration is move fast and tax things. They want to get as much of this money as they can, and enough of these people that may get scared by getting a revenue letter saying that they owe $56,000, that they don't fully know how to fight this. Are they going to have to hire CPAs and lawyers to fight this so they don't have to pay this tax bill? That's what they're dealing with now. And remember, when you have the way he's vilified these people, this 81-year-old that is now a target in the eyes of many of the Mamdani followers, this just isn't right. But you also have to remember, Logan, he couldn't do this on his own. We talk about him being the kingmaker. There were stopgaps. It had to be approved by the governor and the state legislature. Yeah, he didn't do this on his own.
Like you said, the state of New York had to approve this, which we always thought could be a stopgap for some of the things. But clearly, they know the popularity of the mayor.
That's right.
And they're bowing down.
Send in the clowns for Governor Hochul, who said, she many thought could be the moderate voice. Obviously, it's just for New York. Obviously, not statewide, it's not going to get this crazy. She allowed this to move forward, right? And as well as the legislature, because they're scared of the politicians like the mayor and now the members of Congress that will represent New York City that were hand-selected, if you will, by this mayor. But here's another kind of angle that you have to think, especially this is like the socialist dream, right? He sends out this wide amount of these tax notices, right? And you can appeal it. But when they start to get into the weeds, obviously this woman who says that she's not, this shouldn't apply to her, it's a $56,000 tax bill. For individuals that maybe have this in an estate. Maybe it's owned by a trust because a family member passed away, and then the survivors of the person that passed away own the property, and it's not a second home in the sense of they're like ultra wealthy billionaires that go and just have these townhomes. Then they get hit with these tax bills, $56,000, say, and then they can't afford that because they aren't ultra wealthy. This is an inherited property. What does the mayor start doing? Confiscating property. First starts with a tax lien. You can't pay it off. They start taking your property. So then they start taking the property of citizens of New York, and sometimes not citizens of New York, but Americans, because that's the socialist dream.
He's absolutely right. I mean, taxing your property simply because it appreciated in value. Now, I know it's $5 million, but folks, when they started the income tax, that was only 0.5% income tax on people making, I believe it was $50,000 a year, because $50,000 a year back in the 1920s, that was a hell of a lot of money. Okay. So, everybody thought, that's okay. That's okay. It's only, those rich people. I mean, the average income back then was like $1 a day. Okay. I mean, you could buy a loaf of bread for a nickel. So the thing of it is, they start out there. That's the way they always do. They start out, up here. And this lady, like they're talking about, I mean, he said she inherited the whatever it is, an apartment, or I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it appreciated in value to that over the years because the Democrats allowed the aliens to come into the country and drove the property values up. That's exactly what happened. And now they're going to profit from it by taxing people because their property values have gone up. Okay? Just keep voting Democrat. All right? People in New York, just frickin' keep voting Democrat. Unbelievable. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. This is the video I shared with you. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and see what Matt Morse has to say on folks. He's back. He's back. Let's see who's back.
Ladies and gentlemen, as if things weren't already bad enough for the Democrats, things have just this morning gotten even worse. You see, just 96 days out from the 2026 midterm. Now, remember how on 2024 presidential campaign trail, none other than Elon Musk contributed hundreds of millions of dollars to help Republicans take control of this country? Remember that? Well, folks, as of this morning, guess who's back? Elon Musk. Take a look. Axios reports Elon Musk is planning a massive push for the GOP in the midterms. Tech billionaire Elon Musk is jumping into the midterms with a huge investment in a plan to boost Republican voter turnout. Musk is going to be resuscitating his dormant super PAC. It's called America PAC, which spent more than $260 million to help President Trump get elected in 2024. America PAC is going to focus on door knocking, digital advertising, and direct mail aimed at turning out the conservative base, including voters who are typically less inclined to cast ballots in a non-presidential election year. You guys know that during the midterms, voter turnout is always low, right? People say, it's not that big of a deal. Wrong. It is a big deal. We have more information. Elon Musk is reviving America PAC. This is the PAC that spent $260 million to help Trump win in 2024. Door knocking, digital ads, direct to mail boost conservative turnout. GOP super PACs, various other GOP super PACs, and committees have a $300 million plus advantage over their Democrat counterparts. And that doesn't even include the $400 million sitting in Trump's MAGA Inc. super PAC. So, folks, we've got the money. We are dollar for dollar. We are outgunning the Democrats right now. Good. And you know what? Things get even worse for the Democrats today. We got a new poll coming out this morning from Quinnipiac. Take a look at this. What is the approval rating of the Democrat Party amongst men in this country? Well, it's 20, only 20%. Oh my gosh, I just read that for the first time. Folks, only 20% of men in this country approve of the Democrat Party. There is a disapproval rating of 71% amongst men of all ages in this nation right now for the Democrat Party. And I'm sitting here trying to think, what type of man is approving of the Democrats? I don't know. You've got to have some type of testosterone. You've got to have some sort of hormonal imbalance. Do you guys know any men that support the Democrats? How psychotic do you have to be? Especially, I hate to bring race into this, especially if you are a white man. What type of white man would support the Democrat Party in 2026? It's like, hey, haven't you heard? The Democrats blame literally every single problem on the face of this planet on white men. If you're a white man through the eyes of a Democrat, you might as well be Satan incarnate. Racism and slavery and discrimination and blah, blah, blah. Wealth disparity, everything. It's your fault. Man, imagine what type of guy. I don't want to meet him. But wait, folks, there's more, because things actually get even worse for the Democrats. It's just an overpouring of bad news for the Democrats this morning. And this one is actually hilarious. Listen to this. The Democrats just got scammed. The Democrat National Committee's financial troubles just got even worse after the party lost nearly $29,000 to an email scammer posing as Chairman Ken Martin. Ken Martin is the chairman of the DNC. The committee's financial headaches keep mounting as the party heads into the midterms with more debt than cash, and dire debts that forced the DNC to put a $15 million line of credit on its Washington, D.C. headquarters. Folks, they had to use their own physical brick and mortar headquarters as collateral to take out a loan from the bank to help pay for the midterm election season. What's more, they got, I don't know, by some like Nigerian scammer, God knows who, scammed them out of $29,000 by simply posing and impersonating Chairman Ken Martin. Okay, you're Ken Martin? Okay, I'll send you $29,000 right now. Wait a minute. Oh, damn it. And you know what's so comical? Speaking of white guys for Democrats, there you go. Perhaps not the most competent people. These are the very same people, the Democrats, that are trying to convince us, the American people, that they know what's best for this country. They know how to manage the American economy. Folks, they can't even handle their own DNC party economy. They are in debt. They're getting scammed by Nigerian scammers. God knows what happened. They're putting up their own brick and mortar headquarters as collateral to get loans from the bank to finance their campaigns. And they expect us to believe that they know what is best economically and financially for this country. Yeah, I'm not buying it in the same way that I'm not going to take financial or investment advice from a homeless guy living downtown under a bridge. I'm sorry, I just don't think you're qualified. No offense. We got this report this morning coming from House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican. He has declared that every single day he grows more confident with each passing day that Republicans are going to retain control of Congress following the conclusion of the midterm election season. Now, let me ask you something here. Does President Trump himself, does he seem particularly concerned about the midterms? Like, not really. Is he sweating bullets? Is he panicking? Is he freaking out? No. And you would expect if anybody would be freaking out about the Republicans losing the House, it would be Trump, because you know that if the Democrats get control of the House, it's going to be impeachment after impeachment and oversight hearing after oversight hearing. They're going to do every single thing they can to bog down the second half of Trump's term and also to humiliate, ridicule, criminally pursue Trump and every single member of his family and his administration, because this is what they do. They've done it before. Trump, he's pretty nonchalant about all of this. It doesn't really seem like he's worried. Similarly, House Speaker Mike Johnson is not particularly worried. Let me ask you a question. Do you think there might be a reason why these gentlemen are not worried? Might there be a good reason to justify their confidence? Maybe. Time will tell. Well, take a listen to this.
Back in 2018, when Democrats were able to take control of the House, they were actually on the plus side of the ledger. They were actually in positive territory at plus 1 point. Look now in 2026. We're not just talking down there underneath the Potomac. We're talking down there with the Titanic. We're talking 24 points underwater. And this is just the party overall. This isn't the congressional leadership. This is the party. The party. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible brand. Terrible. Back in 2018.
So, folks, when the Democrats took control of the House, this is during Trump's first administration. They did take control of the House following the 2028 midterm elections. They had a +1 net positive national approval rating. The Democrats did. Now, going into the 2026 midterms, it's -24. That's a 25-point swing down. Not good. What's more, at the same time, Trump's ratings are looking pretty good. Once again, reported by CNN. Even CNN cannot deny reality at this point. Take a listen to this.
21st century own party approval rating about at this point in the second term. We got Trump, we got Obama, we got Bush. Look, they're all fairly popular, but the one who is the most popular, and we have seen this time in and time out, no matter when you look, is Donald John Trump. He's the only one who's over 80%. 83% of Republicans still approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing as president. He still has that magic touch. We'll see if it carries over to South Carolina, but we've seen it in primaries this year, Senate primaries, and that's because he is still a very popular man, historically popular when it comes to his own party liking and approving of the job that he's doing.
And that's exactly why the Democrats, and it seems Thune and some of the other rhinos, are so freaked out about the Save America Act passing, because they know they won't be able to win elections if the elections are honest. If people have to show ID and can only vote once and can't have 300,000 mail-in ballots show up at 1 a.m. in the morning after the polling counting has stopped. That's it, exactly, because the Democrats are really not that popular, even among Democrats. There are some stupid Democrats out there that still support them, but their numbers are dwindling. Let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Matt Morse TV. It's the video I shared with you. I've given you a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Alrighty, let's jump back here. And anybody else in the chat? Come on, folks. Chat me up. Let me know what's going on. Okay, let me share my back to school special with you here. Kids start back to school Monday morning. This is the last weekend before school starts. My son, starting high school, freshman, his bus picks him up at 6:35 in the morning. His school starts at like 7:10, and he gets home from school at 2:25 in the afternoon. It's like amazing. So yeah, I'll be having some short nights when Monday comes. All right, let me share this here with you. Great information.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's that time of year again. They're going back! It's back to school time at Staples. Over 7,000 supplies at guaranteed low prices. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Staples. That was easy.
Yep. There you have it. Okay. Let's jump back here and see what Wendy Bell has to say. Disgraced. I wonder who she could be talking about. Now, I found that interesting that she had this asterisk. You know, this little asterisk here, so this little star, like a footnote on Disgraced. Let's see what she's got. She even has it here on her thumbnail.
You know, I never liked that personality that likes to get their rocks off saying, I told you so. I told you so. There's nothing like somebody who gloats in being right, because when they're right, usually you've been found wrong. And I'm used to being wrong. I'm wrong an awful lot of my life. And you're wrong enough, you say, you know what? I apologize. I was wrong. I have not been wrong about the things we've talked about on this program. I've not been wrong. You've not been wrong. The problem is, I don't get any joy being right. It's like being right about a building. That building looks suspicious, then it burns down, right? I was right about that. Well, I was right about what? Tony Fauci. About his motives, about the media, about what was going on, about the pylon, about the lack of critical thinking, about the weird data. About all of the stuff that never added up, about all of the moving goalposts. Because I always thought in science, in a closed experiment, you can't enter new variables into the study, or else everything that your objective was set out to prove or disprove or illuminate goes to pot. And that's all that they did for years. It was ridiculous. And now people are beginning to pay attention to it. Again, I wish I could be like, yep, I told you so. Who takes any joy in what's going on? I don't. And I think the question is, how do I, and maybe even you, how do you live now with simmering anger? Because I have it. It's not going to be one of those things I'm just going to forget about. I'm not going to just skip past this. I don't have the remote control. My finger's not on fast forward. We need every single minute of what is coming out. And we need every single person to pay attention. I had something happen to me last night. It was unexpected. One of my favorite people in the world is my father-in-law, Joe's dad. I just adore him. He is fallible like I am. He was a wonderful doctor, phenomenal brain, extraordinary healer. And I adore him. And during COVID, he'd come over. We'd sometimes host all 19 in our family over for Sunday dinner. My mother-in-law did it for like 30 years. We mooched off of that forever. So Joe and I were like, hey, maybe we should do it so she doesn't have to, right? So he'd come in the house. And first thing he'd say, literally one foot in the door, Wendy Bear, I got to talk to you about something. I don't know if I like what you're talking about with this Dr. Fauci thing. You called him Dr. Death. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think you should devolve into name calling. Certainly not a man of science, right? And I'd listen to him and I'd smile. And I'd say, okay, all right, Dad, I understand what you're saying. Just you wait. You'll see. Wendy Bear, I got to talk to you about something. Right? Okay, Dad. All right. I love you. All right. Just wait. It'll come. You'll find out. Yesterday, we came to the find out phase, right? Jack was making dinner. Wanted to make fried halibut sandwiches. How good does that sound, right? Delicious. Fresh halibut. He made his own sauce for it, his own tartar sauce. So he invites his grandparents over, which I love. So the five of us, Joe, Jack, my in-laws, and I are sitting around the table. My father-in-law was very upset because as he walked in yesterday, he said, Wendy Bear, you were right. And I was wrong. And I owe you an apology. And I said, you really don't, Dad. And he said, I really do. He said, you years ago were bringing up all of these things about this guy. And I didn't listen. But I'm listening now. And I hope you know that I'm sorry. You know, what do you do with that, guys? What do you do with that? I gave him a hug, right? We sat down and ate dinner. There are going to be people who get all this stuff. Some people won't. But a lot of people will. And there's going to be a period of time for the apology tour. Some people we're going to be gracious with. Other people can go sit in a hole and never be seen again. I don't care. I know you have some of these in your life too. But I think the thing that we need to talk about moving forward isn't that who was right and who was wrong. It's to never allow this to happen again, to watch people lose their ever-loving minds, devolve into a panic, lose common sense, and then trust people who have a track record of being untrustworthy. That's a recipe, a scientific experiment for failure. But if we're going to be honest about uncovering what we know, who we've known it from, and who's been lying to us, I think we need to very, very closely pay attention to the media. Okay? And I want to share with you something very interesting. There were some new ratings that just came out for television. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, which is now MS Now. And I wanted to share with you a few things. These people in the news, on the news, in the media, aren't being paid attention to very much. And I think we need to pay attention to that and not amplify their voices. And here's what I mean. In the month of June, Fox News got in the coveted demographic 25 to 54, right? Sobering when you're out of that one, let me tell you. 137,000 people a day in that demographic. 137,000 people a day. CNN, 25 to 54. How many are watching CNN in that age group? 62,000 people. How many people are in our country? I mean, if we took out all of the illegals, 330 million. 62,000 a day, roughly, were watching CNN. And MSNBC, MS Now, 57,000 people in the 25 to 54 age group pay attention to that particular news channel. They do not represent the masses at all. In fact, I did the math. Do you know how many people in that age group then watched MS Now on a daily basis? 0.042. That's the percentage of the population paying it. That is roughly 0.04 of a percentage. CNN, it's 0.046. And Fox News, 0.1% of America watches on a daily basis Fox News. You know what? That was the number of children that got sick and died from COVID. It's so weird how those numbers happen, isn't it? These people have lied. These people failed to think critically. These people did not do their homework. They did not do their research. They didn't do a damn thing before they went out there and they told you to be afraid and to hate people who don't feel the same fear as you. These people in the news, to me, are more dangerous than any virus. To everybody out there who is slowly coming to, snapping out of the hibernation, waking up to start paying attention, it's going to be a hard ride. But be honest, the greatest thing you can do to somebody that you have been wrong to or you unfairly criticized is to say two very simple words: I'm sorry. Because you know what? We have nothing to gain right now by trying to rub your face in it. Period. When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, interesting stuff about Anonymous today, our friend on X, deepfake quotes, doing something about Joseph Mengele during the Nazi experimentation, the horrors of that war. See if you draw some parallels with Dr. Fauci. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All righty. And, you know, that was very nice of her father-in-law to do that. Very nice. I have not received any apologies from anyone, but, you know, whatever. I'm not in this for apologies. I'm just in this to let people know what the hell's going on. You know, as long as they think, okay, maybe they'll listen to a little bit more information that I provide.
Ho, 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 it's magic, you know.
It's a lot of blame to go around. A lot of blame. A lot of people starting to see in the mirror the reflection of themselves, not liking what they see. Title of today's show is Disgraced. It's an asterisk with disgraced, period. That's what I believe today's story is. That is the Wikipedia page for one Dr. Anthony Stephen Fauci, disgraced. That's all that's left. It doesn't matter what he did for 50 years. You're done. You're disgraced. That is the biggest punishment for somebody like that. See, because money doesn't feed the ego per se. It's the adoration of the public. And now we recoil from him. That's disgrace. Anonymous put out a great video last night. We snagged it, Brock did. And he compares Dr. Death, Fauci, with the so-called angel of death, Dr. Joseph Mengele. And you know, he was called the angel of death because at Auschwitz, he was the one who would decide which of the prisoners would be sent to forced labor and who would be sent straight to the gas chambers. He decided. Can you imagine that? He also became infamous for cruel medical experiments on prisoners, particularly twins. He was a monster. Listen to what Anonymous says as this comparison seems somewhat familiar.
After the war, Joseph Mengele spent decades in hiding. During those years, he kept diaries. In them, he wrote about his own life, his loneliness, his frustrations, his years in exile. He wrote about himself. What historians did not find was a clear expression of remorse for his victims. No reflection on the children, no acknowledgement of the suffering caused by his experiments. The diary doesn't read like a man consumed by the suffering he caused. It reads like a man consumed by his own life. The silence is striking. Perhaps that's one of the most unsettling lessons of all. Human beings are capable of constructing narratives that allow them to see themselves as justified, even after causing unimaginable suffering. History does not preserve Joseph Mengele's diary because it answers every question. It preserves it because it asks one: how does an educated physician, a man trained to heal, come to write thousands of words about his own life without leaving behind a clear record of compassion for the people whose lives he destroyed? That question may be as important as anything he ever wrote. My friends, we are all anonymous.
So there's no underlying psychology of consciousness, or of having a conscience, I should say. There's no feeling of, I did that to people. I hurt people. I killed people. I fiddled with people. I tortured people. Joseph Mengele didn't have that at all in his memoirs, in his past. And you know how he ended up? Think about how he ended up. He was on the run for 35 years, and he died in Brazil, basically under an alias, still being protected by some underground Nazi network, if you can even imagine that. He went from the angel of death, the decider of fate, God himself, likely in his own mind, to literally a scavenger, a nameless, backgroundless zero, hiding from justice. Can you imagine looking over your back for 35 years? Right? Now, we won't get that with Tony Fauci, but you don't get that in his diary either. 1,141 pages. And in fact, coming up in this next hour, I should say, hour 2 of this program, there's a gentleman who created a foundation specifically to study the effects of COVID. What happened, the lockdown, the effect, the decision, all of it. He went through all of the pages of Tony Fauci's thoughts, his musings of himself as you and I were struggling during COVID. And he says something that's very chilling, like a cold terror. Because Tony Fauci had no remorse. He had no thoughts about your children or grandchildren. He didn't care about business. He wasn't worried about anybody else's finances. He wasn't worried about the more than 20 million people around the world who would die. He was worried about one thing: his ego, Tony Fauci, his glory, his grandeur, all of that, his godlike deity almost. You know, how many other people do you know who have this sort of complex, right? Napoleon's complex, this short man syndrome, because it is true. It has been linked to people of shorter stature. Let's think about this. People who go beyond their size and rule and envision themselves in a larger than life bubble that either creates the evil or feeds off of their evil. Joseph Mengele was 5'8" tall. How about Napoleon? Brutal. 5'6" tall. Adolf Hitler, 5'8" tall. Fauci, 5'7". How about this? Vladimir Zelensky, 5'6". Vladimir Putin, 5'7". Does that mean if you're short, you're going to be a jerk? You're going to grow up and do things that are awful and you're going to kill people? No. But there's absolutely a psychology that's intertwined with why you responded to all of this, why other people responded to all of this chapter of COVID the way that we did. There is an underlying something or other going on. That's the experiment. Why do some people fall for it hook, line, and sinker, fail to think critically, fail to think for themselves or use their God-given common sense, while others, oftentimes who share DNA, question freaking everything? I don't know, but I'm hungry for answers. When we come back, I can tell you this: 2 doses of bad news for the good Dr. Fauci. Rand Paul has no interest in fiddling around with the Senate. He's like, I'm fast tracking this contempt of Congress charge straight to the DOJ. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, we're going to go ahead and pause that, and we're going to have this in our daily news wrap up. But let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this
It's a lot
video
of blame
does
to go
come from Wendy Bell Radio. This is the video I shared with you. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. I do want to share some information that, like I said, I'm going to be doing my daily news wrap up after midnight. I'll be switching over to Rumble Premium. Let me go ahead and share some information with you about Rumble Premium.
This sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases, they were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID. But they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not, they held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we are just happy if you watch us on Rumble.
Alrighty then. Okay, my camera seems to have gone goofy here on me, but I can go ahead and talk to you here. I have copied the live chats into a comment, so it will be a permanent part of this video. And let me remind you folks here, let me check my camera out here. Yeah, see, it's I don't know if it's working on your end or not. Into a comment, so it will be a permanent. See, it's it's I don't know if. Okay, so, but at any rate, let me remind you that the videos that I've shared with you here are videos that come directly from the producer's channel. I have the links to the videos here in the description box, as well as the links to the producer's channel themselves. And these videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted here on Mertech.com, where I have over 40 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. By the way, Wendy, I believe, made an announcement that she's going to not have a show on Monday. She's going to be doing, playing golf or something, which is fine. Hey, she's allowed to have a personal life. But at any rate, I have a ton of great information over Mertech.com. The link to Mertech.com is in the description box. So I invite you to jump over there. It's a free site. I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email address. I ask you to sign up for a newsletter. I don't drop cookies on your computer. I don't have a bunch of ads popping up in your face. It's just strictly no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. The kind of information that we've been telling you about since 2020 about this cork biter, Dr. Fauci. No, I mean Dr. Quacky. Okay, right here, I would like to share all the information that I have on Mertech.com, but unfortunately I don't have the time to do so, and that's why I've put together my daily news wrap-up playlist. It says I have 18 videos in here, about 9 or 10 hours worth of great information. We're going to start off with Wendy Bell where we left off in this podcast here, then jump over to Vince on the Bongino report where we left off, then give you some information from We the People News, X22 report, Steve Deace show, Graham Allen, and we know Greg Hunter's USA Watchdog. A ton of information here, folks. But go ahead and take a break right now. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a nice glass of wine and some cheese and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes and we'll get this going for you. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.